Family, what's going on? Can you guys hear me okay? How you guys doing tonight? Y'all doing all right? Let's do this. Okay, there we go. All right. Guys, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, please. Making sure that my stuff is working. You know that we've been having some technical issues. Okay, Tana, thank you. Cool. All right. All right. So we have a lot to talk about tonight. A lot going on. I was going to do a video last night, but with my injury and everything and not sleeping, I really wasn't feeling up to it. So got a tiny bit of rest today, and I wanted to make sure that we talked about it because I do believe that we could be out of here any second, and I'm going to tell you why. If you guys have been following the news yesterday, you know that President Raisi from Iran, you know that he was found in a crashed helicopter along with the other, I don't know what the other minister guy's name was, but basically a lot of leadership in Iran yesterday, plane crash, right? So the foreign minister and the president were both found in this plane crash, among others. And basically, they're already thinking that Israel had something to do with it. I don't think that's too far-fetched because Netanyahu was having a lot of these high-level meetings behind closed doors, and now all of a sudden this helicopter goes down. So it is possible that maybe they made a gigantic play, and we'll see in the coming days. Jonathan, the leg is really rough. I appreciate you asking, though. For those of you guys who don't know, I have a meniscus and ACL tear. It's been rough, so I'm using a cane to get around right now, and I'm waiting on a surgery date. But I'm praying that the rapture happens before then because that would be so much better. So I appreciate you asking, Jonathan. It is rough. That's why I'm not my usual chipper self. I'm feeling pretty haggard. All right. So the thing about this is that basically, again, Israel's having a lot of these high-level meetings. All of a sudden, this helicopter goes missing. There's a crash. A lot of Iran's leadership dead. So the thing that's going on now is that there's obviously going to be a round of elections in Iran on the 28th. There's going to be a new president on July 8th. If you guys didn't know, Iran basically said that, listen, if we find out that anyone in Israel had anything to do with this, then we're going to respond in a way that no one has ever seen before. That's pretty intense. But we have to understand, too, guys, that part of the reason that I'm so keeping my eyes on this is because Turkey and Russia were really, really quick to send people over to Iran to help look for this helicopter. So basically what's going on is that these allies between Iran, Russia, and Turkey and all these other countries, they're growing a lot stronger. At the same time, Israel is really, getting bold in their military activity to where we could really see Ezekiel 38 at any time now. If you guys know anything about Ezekiel 38, you know that it's this coalition of nations that's going to come against Israel in the latter days. They're going to try to wipe them off the face of the earth, and God will come to their defense. So don't worry. We know the spoiler alerts. We know what it actually is. We know that it's actually going to be God that steps in and rescues them. A lot of stuff happening, though. This changes the dynamic in the Middle East, though, because what happens when someone crazier than Raisi gets in office, or they appoint some military leader or something like that? What happens then? What happens then is that potentially with everything else going on, they have a reason, at least kind of on the surface, to deceive people of why they would come and hit Israel possibly very, very hard. So also we see a lot of different stuff happening too. So we see that happen yesterday. Today, France is limiting the amount of euros that you can withdraw in cash. There's no more willy-nilly withdrawals. They're limiting their cash. We talked a little bit last stream about, like Cuba's out of money. Other countries are getting out of money. We're looking at the IDF really ramping up their stuff in Gaza. There's talks now, too, guys, that the IDF could invade Lebanon. A lot of crazy stuff happening. And basically, guys, the only reason that I really wanted to hang out tonight and talk about it was because we're at a point in time on the timeline where all of this stuff is going to kind of snowball, and it's just not going to stop. It's not going to be something that we can kind of recover from. It's going to be something that eventually eventually is just going to implode. Putin is actually traveling to Iran as of today, and he's going to attend the funeral for Raisi. And we're going to get to a point, family, where I wonder if we're not going to see Putin try to rally this allied partnership of this axis of Ezekiel 38 to say, okay, enough is enough. Let's go after Israel. I wonder, because while Israel has their kind of hands in their goodie bags, I wonder if they're not going to try to come against them. That's just my personal speculation. I think that it is very, very possible, family, that we could be out of here very soon. It's my personal opinion that Ezekiel 38 happens after the rapture. I think that that is going to be, post us being out of here, Ezekiel 38 will happen. And I want to point out too, there's a lot of people that keep coming in the comments and saying silly things like, don't be dogmatic about the timing of the rapture. For the record, if anyone was confused or lost, this is a pre-tribulation rapture ministry, because pre-tribulation rapture is the scriptural view. If you are not a fan of that, you disagree with it, there are other ministries. Just as a PSA, but we're a pre-trib biblical believing ministry, and we're going to stick to our guns on that one. So we have a lot of stuff going on. It's pretty wild. The ICC is trying to get a warrant for Netanyahu and for leaders of Hamas. It's getting crazy. There's kind of some stuff happening between China and Russia. There's a lot of these end day governments are really kind of starting to do their things behind scenes, and it's becoming less and less hidden. It's really crazy when you think about the fact, family, that we could be in a situation where all of a sudden we're looking at this history, right? This period of human history. We're looking at like this timeline of events, knowing where we are in the timeline, that we could be whisked off into heaven in the rapture any second now. I mean, that's just crazy. And there are so many things that are just imploding. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but literally everything is going crazy. In Italy, in Naples, there's a bunch of really crazy seismic activity. There's a possible volcanic eruption happening. There was a 4.1 and a 4.2 earthquake earlier. And if you guys also followed any of the news from yesterday as well, the U.S. was actually contacted by Iran to say, hey, do you want to try to help find Raisi's helicopter? And we were like, no, we don't want to do that because of logistical reasons, whatever that means. But there's also a lot of tension there too. I want to point out that as stuff in the Middle East gets more and more crazy, that we're going to also see, I think personally, based on what Scripture leads us to think, the kind of dwindling of America as a world power. I don't think that it's going to be a very consequential role in the end times. So we'll have to wait and see. But we're really watching people get away from the dollar. We're watching this government just get weaker and weaker. We're watching all the stuff in Iran. We're watching all the stuff in Israel. The International Criminal Court, which is basically just a quasi morality monitor police. They don't actually have any authority, but they're trying to get arrest warrants for Hamas and for Netanyahu. It's ridiculous. So there is an article as well that came out that says that after Raisi's death, Israel fears that Iran will run with their nuclear project, with their nuclear directive, right? Which is basically they've been enriching all this uranium for so long behind closed doors that now they're in a position that if they really wanted to, they would be in a position where they could launch a bomb at Israel potentially. And that's really what they're worried about as well. They're looking for elections that potentially are going to destabilize Iran. There is obviously a lot of chaos now because the foreign minister and the president both are gone. They're worried about the IRGC using nuclear options, which is a valid concern. And they're worried that in retaliation to the death of Raisi, that they're going to arm even more of these militant proxies in the Middle East. I think that we just watched a fuse get lit, and I think that we're really on kind of 30 seconds to overtime type deal. It's crazy stuff. And the thing is, too, is that all the while this is going on, the U.S. is still trying to meddle and take part of Jerusalem and create a Palestinian state. And John Kirby saying that an agreement for normalization with the U.S. and Saudi Arabia and Israel is super close, but there must be something in favor of the Palestinians. That is code for we want part of Israel's land. The unfortunate thing for them is that that's not their land to give away; it's God's land, and he doesn't like sharing because he gave it to Israel. the thing about it is too, family, that you have to think that we might be in a position where some type of false garbage piece comes from a fearful Israel now that Iran is about to potentially throw a nuclear option on the table. They might be willing to make some concessions if they're that scared. We'll see. We'll see. It is just, there's so much going on. I mean, it almost makes your head spin. It really does. The Iran chief of staff is ordering probes, obviously, into these helicopter crash and things of that nature. Turkey said that their transport minister said that the actual like black box type deal that's supposed to be transmitting signals for distress was disconnected. So they're saying that, okay, we can pin this on Israel for foul play, that maybe somehow the Mossad got in there and actually disconnected something. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of moving pieces. So Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei assigned Mohammed Mokber to assume interim presidential duties after Raisi was eliminated. Israel has what is called the Samson option, where basically it's all-out nuclear options, basically to, as Samson did with the Philistines and that temple pulling it all down. That's kind of what the Samson option is, but with nuclear warheads. This could be part of the deception. It could be anything. It's very, very, very crazy. Is it possible that, all of a sudden all these nuclear options start flying on the table and we're harpazoed in the middle of it? Potentially. But we have to understand that obviously we're in God's timing. And obviously we're watching that timetable really start to crank up to 11 because of all the things that keep rapidly increasing, right? All right, guys, it is great to see all you, by the way, Bima and Deanna and Jonathan and Sammy and Raptorhead and Gina, all you guys, Sherry. Sorry, I just kind of started rolling right in here, but it is great to see all you guys, as always. So we're watching also an escalation with Hezbollah in Lebanon. This is from an IDF spokesperson. As of last night, military buildings next to an observation post. The IDF attacked Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon during the night. Warplanes attacked targets of Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Among the targets, Hezbollah military buildings in the area of Laida, Al-Jabin, and Al-Adaysa, alongside an observation post of the organization in Shehin area in southern Lebanon. And so, they're also kind of, again, they're dealing with Gaza, they're dealing with Lebanon, they're going to be dealing with Iran soon. All of these, all the while as well, Egypt is not really wanting to reopen the border right now as well, because so we're watching this perfect storm of all of these players with Ezekiel 38. This could very well go down, and we know that the rapture precedes that, and so we know that we're out of here that much sooner. There's a lot of excitement to be had for sure. And yes, even though Israel already paid for weapons, pardon my hair, guys, it's been a rough day. The U.S. is like, no, you paid for them, but we're not going to send them to you. So yeah, the United States is absolutely abandoning Israel right now. Man. So what do we do with this? Yeah, and see, I saw that as well, Victoria. I was actually about to get into that. There are reports that the helicopter, while the distress signal was also disconnected, that it actually exploded before impact, that it was a crash landing, but that it exploded and then crashed. So they're absolutely going to pin this on Israel, or try to pin this on Israel as a reason to potentially try to throw a nuclear bomb. Or again, we have to think, could it be possible that all of a sudden we watch, Russia try to rally the troops and go have, a retaliation against Israel? It's possible. It's possible. Again, but Russia's Ministry of Emergency, Turkey's Ministry of Transportation and Emergency, both of these guys from these countries were both out to Iran before the story broke publicly. Like, we literally had, oh, by the way, these planes are going to Iran. Oh, by the way, the Iranian president probably is dead. It's weird that it went boom first. It's weird that they were sent before we knew what was going on confirmed. It is also weird that when you were looking at the initial reports yesterday, a lot of the media was saying, oh, he's dead, we found him. And then the IRGC is like, no, don't say that. We haven't said that yet. And then it came out later anyway. So really, it's just a lot going on. Yeah, Archduke Ferd Rossi, absolutely, Bima. Right in the money. Right in the money. Oh, man, it's crazy. Trump was talking about the International Criminal Court as well. This was just like a little soundbite. His quote was, "The ICC has no jurisdiction, no legitimacy, and no authority. It violates the principle of justice, fairness, and due process." And that's really kind of the crux of what the ICC is, the International Criminal Court. It's the UN's just garbage nonsense of a quasi justice platform of, we're going to execute our own level of justice. It doesn't do anything, but there you are. If you guys weren't sure, what that was, that's what that was. It is pretty crazy that all of this is happening in a very short amount of time. Syria also keeps getting hit up. You guys know Damascus has been in the news more than one time the last several weeks. Airports getting hit, the city itself getting hit. So you almost wonder, and I have a possible scenario that I want to talk about as well. Is it possible that Iran launches a nuclear, if Trump, no, I'm not even talking about Trump anymore. If Iran launches a nuclear weapon and it fizzles out and hits Damascus on the way to Israel, could that be Isaiah 17 becoming a ruinous heap? Yeah, I think that's very possible as well. Very possible. Yeah, and Carol, just for the record, that was just a little soundbite of kind of summing up what the ICC was. But yeah, I do think that Damascus will become a ruinous heap, and I think it's possible that it's going to be because of a dud nuclear bomb that gets knocked out or whatever. I mean, that is very, very, very possible at this point. Very possible at this point. Very possible. And the thing of the matter is, guys, is that, again, this is a season of time where a lot of people are trying to put their faith in a political leader. The person who we should be putting our faith in is Jesus Christ. And I think that for the rest of the world who are so on the edge of their seat for whatever election, they're really kind of primed for the 10 kings and the Antichrist to kind of get onto the scene. They really are. They're primed for putting their faith in Satan and man rather than Christ. And I think that, when it comes down to it, that is going to be what we see. I do think that. So it is possible. We have a lot of stuff to be looking out for. We have a lot of stuff to be weary of. Also, the Houthis in Yemen, they're also trying to attack Israel. I mean, all of these moving pieces at once, all of a sudden the tinderbox has been lit and we're kind of on the edge of our seat wondering what's going to happen next, because that already is the most volatile region in the world. So, man, that was kind of a lot. I spoke kind of fast, and I'm sorry, but that's pretty wild stuff. It's wild stuff. Ironically, this is the quotes from the last week of life for the president, the foreign minister, and this Turkish lawmaker. This guy was the guy that cursed Israel and then died immediately after with a heart attack after he spoke in their parliament. Raisi is quoted as saying Israel should be wiped off of the map. Iran's foreign minister said the coming days will be difficult days for the Zionist entity. They both died in that helicopter crash. And then there's a Turkish lawmaker who last year, the year before, curses God and said Israel will suffer Allah's wrath. And then he gets off the podium from speaking in parliament and he has a heart attack and dies right there. It's crazy. But God makes good on his promise of I will bless them that bless thee and curse them that curse thee. It's crazy stuff. But we're watching a lot of these new world order dogs licking their chops and kind of, really, really excited, really excited to kind of swoop in on the scene there. What's heavy? Yeah, it's crazy stuff. It is crazy stuff. It's heavy stuff. So my last kind of thing that I want to talk to you guys about, because this will be a little bit of a shorter blitz video, I just wanted to cover the stuff going on in the Middle East, is that I think now more than ever before, there needs to be a boldness for sharing the gospel. Because here's the thing, right? A lot of us in this chat and a lot of us in this group are, this is incredible. The Lord's coming so soon. But with that, guys, there is, 100%, Bima. But a lot of us are excited, rightfully so, because we know that we're going to see the Lord soon. But remember, family, we have an opportunity to share the gospel, because as we are raptured out of here, the unbelieving are left behind. And we need to make sure that the number of those left behind, that we are doing an honest effort to share the gospel with them. Obviously, the Lord knows their hearts. He knows he's going to come to them, but we're called to make disciples. He calls us to share the gospel, and he calls us to be ready in season and out of season, right? To give a defense for the hope that's within us. And we are called to occupy until he gets here. So I would say, guys, let's be occupying and sharing the gospel until he gets here. Amen. You guys had a bunch of people to pray for. Our community has been such a blessing for the prayer aspect of this. It's such a blessing to see it. I apologize. I haven't been responding to a lot of comments one-on-one. I've been like 6 days without a lot of sleep. The leg is really, really hurting, and I'm really out of it. So forgive me there. I hope to try to get a little bit of rest sometime in the next couple of days and try to get back into being more active in the comments. But be praying for open doors. Be praying for opportunities to share the gospel, and be praying for your loved ones who are lost and who you are worried about not receiving Christ before the rapture. And remember, guys, that it is possible that some of your loved ones will become tribulation saints, but we want to be sharing anyway in the interim, okay? God bless you guys. It's a shorter video, but I'm not going to lie, I'm feeling pretty rough, and I want to go kind of lay down and ice this knee and get some rest. So I love you guys. We'll be praying for everyone. When the video is done posting, guys, blitz the comments, all the people you're worried about getting left behind. Let's try to be praying for these people. Let's be praying for another. If you guys see a name pop up, don't just stop when you leave your name. If there's other names, pray for these people as well. Okay. Be praying for me, guys. I'm a little worried that I might have some type of, I was reading that you can get like an infection in like the fluid buildup in the knee or something. I'm a little worried about that because it is hurting a lot. And I have been very feverish today, which is unusual. So it's been a rough day. So please be praying for me. And if anything happens, I'll definitely update you guys. But in the interim, we'll talk soon. God bless you guys. I love you, and we'll talk later. Okay. Occupy until he gets here. Share the gospel. We'll talk soon. All right. God bless you guys. Good night.